The media continues to push a narrative that the Orlando Magic should make a trade before the season starts. Their next target for the Orlando Magic is going to be Anfernee Simons of the Portland Trail Blazers. Today we're going to talk about just the general feeling around the team and the roster that they have, and whether or not the Portland Trail Blazers are even fielding calls for Anfernee Simons. And what does this mock trade that people are producing and projecting out there, what does that look like, and what exactly can we learn from it? But first, guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you are subscribed. 90.6% of you guys who are watching our videos aren't subscribed, so join the 9.4%. We're trying to build an Orlando Magic basketball community here on YouTube, and subscribing is the easiest and best way to support the channel. Now, let's get into the mock trade that was sent in from BVM Sports Desk. They said that the Orlando Magic would acquire guard Anfernee Simons for Anthony Black, Cole Anthony, and a top 5 protected 2025 first round pick. Obviously, they give their reasoning, and I challenge everybody to go read this article. It's very interesting, and I do think stuff like this is going to be very, very common during this time of year for the NBA. Anfernee Simons averaging 22.6 points per game, 3.6 boards, and 5.5 assists last season. Now, let's get into whether or not the Portland Trail Blazers are even in the mood to trade Anfernee Simons. Well, first of all, I do not believe so right away. I think a lot of teams, I would be very surprised if there was a blockbuster deal-ish like this that would go down before the season starts. I think we've since passed that free agency mark, that draft point, where deals like this would be a lot more common. I think a lot of teams, including the Orlando Magic, which we'll get into in a second, feel very confident in their current roster, and they're ready to ride it out, and whatever organizational plans and future plans that they have will continue to go on, and there's not going to be changing any sort of trajectory with any of these teams. So I do believe that both of those teams are ready to stay put, but I do especially think so for the Portland Trail Blazers. It's been said that they've wanted to trade Jeremy Grant. He's another player that is going to be continuously put into these mock trades during this time of year, and they haven't even really got that deal done yet. There are some suitors, but like I said, he's on the Portland Trail Blazers. They have not finished that deal, so I think that they would be more inclined to get him out of there first than Anfernee Simons. There's no guarantee that Shaedon Sharpe or Scoot Henderson even pan out for the Portland Trail Blazers, so I do think that there is sort of a level of maybe we should play it safe and keep him on the roster, even though we don't know exactly what he can be ceiling-wise. We know he could potentially be a borderline all-star player, but can he be any more than that? They don't know. But would you want to give him up just in case if you don't have anything else, any other alternative? I don't think that they would, and that seems to be what is going on right now within the franchise. They don't want to give him up just in case. You don't know exactly what you got. You got a logjam at the guard position, but are you really going to punish Anfernee Simons by trading him away for that? He does, in theory, I do believe, especially whenever you look at the box score and the statistics that he's putting up, make your team better. So I don't really think that they're too inclined to trade him. Obviously, they have a lot to figure out in Portland, but I definitely do think he's a part of their future plans to a certain degree. And as he's on a 2-year, $225 million per year contract, or excuse me, that's what's left on his deal right now. So I don't really think that they want to give him up just yet, but you could see the trade value as the contract is pretty good, and he averaged 23 points per game last season on pretty decent shooting splits. Didn't shoot all that great from the field last year, but was really solid from the three-point line. He's a guy who can kind of work with a lot of different guards. He can play both the point guard and the shooting guard position. So I definitely think he's a fit on most teams, but like I said, I don't think that the Portland Trail Blazers are exactly in the mood to sell just yet. Maybe it'll be a different conversation come trade deadline, but the NBA and feels like the entire basketball universe will be a completely different world by that trade deadline. So a lot can be different. But let's get into whether or not the Orlando Magic would even really, really, really want to make this sort of trade. They're giving up Anthony Black and Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony is the glue, and Anthony Black is potentially the future. Now, that might be a little high on Anthony Black. He didn't exactly wow in his rookie season, but he was a lot better in the summer league. And despite getting injured and having a lackluster second game, you would have liked it to gone better in the summer league. I still think that a lot of people came away impressed, especially with that first game. That first game was very, very promising. And I think he fits what the Magic want in a player, and he fits the identity, and he's 20 years old. I think that he has a lot going for him, and I think that they're very confident in what he can be in the future. And I don't really think that they're in the mood to trade him. But I will say they are especially not in the mood to trade him when they also have to give up Cole Anthony. Top scorer off the bench, 12 points per game last season, and is the glue guy, culture guy, the personality hire, if you will. He's obviously a very, very valuable player and a very good player, but he's kind of just feels like he's got that magic identity. And when we're seeing guys potentially like Wendell Carter Jr., who are in more serious trade talks or trade rumors, go or potentially leave, we don't really have much of that old magic guard. Like, it's kind of Jonathan Isaac and Cole Anthony is like the guys who are the longest tenured players on the Orlando Magic. I don't really know if they want to trade Cole Anthony right now. Even though it feels like he's a common trade piece in a lot of these mock trades, I don't really see the Orlando Magic trading him. I don't see them trading anybody as it currently stands. And I cannot make that any more abundantly clear. But even in a deal like this where they do get a borderline all-star player who does, in my opinion, fit the roster or at least the needs, I still don't think that they would really want to do it. Now, pairing these two guards together also will reiterate that I don't really see a trade going down with both of those guys in the same deal. And I don't know how interested Portland is in adding to their guard logjam. They're trading away Anfernee Simons, trying to kind of make way for their guards and get some more value, yet they're bringing in two guards. Cole Anthony, who it does feel like you have potentially seen what his ceiling could be, and that is high-level bench player, and Anthony Black, where you don't know exactly what it is, but he's almost in the same boat as Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe. And it's like, why are you adding more to that potential disaster that could be in that guard position? We as Magic fans have seen an organization kind of just continue to stockpile young guys in the same position-ish, the front court area, and it just doesn't work well. You got to pick and choose, or one of those guys are going to get shipped out. I don't really see that being that enticing for the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, another part of this deal that I definitely wanted to touch on is going to also be the pick part of it. Now, unless the Orlando Magic were to just actually have a disaster of a season, they probably won't have this 25 first-round protected pick if they send it to Portland. Now, I do think that it is a very valuable thing for Portland to get picks back in an Anfernee Simons trade, so I do buy this. And I do think that the Orlando Magic would just, if they had to get Anfernee Simons, would try to even it out by trading picks, right? Because Anfernee Simons' deal is very team-friendly, so the Orlando Magic can afford it, but that would mean that they would probably, have to give up a first-round pick like this. And I haven't really seen too much about the Orlando Magic wanting to give up these picks. Weltman has said consistently that he wants to continue to build through the draft. This is how they built their team, and you just got to take the slow road sometimes. And he's well aware that the Magic are in a mid-market to lower market city, and they're not exactly going to be a major free agent destination. Obviously lost out on Paul George, and sometimes you just can't control that. So I think Weltman knows his audience. He knows his situation. So I don't really know exactly how much he wants to give up any of those picks. But definitely that would be a requirement to trade for Simons, because I also don't want to sit here and say that Simons wouldn't be a very good player for the Orlando Magic. But he hasn't really leveled up the Portland Trail Blazers as much as you'd like to see. Now, one man can't really do it all, especially with all the problems that they have in Portland. But you maybe would have liked to see a little bit more of winning basketball from Simons before you acquire him, and I think that is another thing for the Orlando Magic. I think they're just going to really try to run it back. There's too many unknowns, and then I don't even know if either of these teams would be all that happy with this sort of trade. But guys, I'm very curious to know what you guys think the Orlando Magic should do in the offseason for the rest of the offseason, or if you think that they should stay put. I'm on the boat that thinks that they should stay put. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will come back next time with more Orlando Magic basketball news. But until then, I'll see you guys later.